for the 5-year consolidated plan for fiscal year 2020 through 2024 and our annual action plan for 2020 for the City of Erie. My name is Chris Groner. I'm the Director of the Department of Economic and Community Development. I'm joined this evening with Dave Dieter, Grant Administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development. This evening we're going to be going over our Citizen Participation Plan, the amendment, our summary, 5-year planning process, 5-year strategic plan, an overview of the annual action plan for 2020, the additional supplemental funding as it relates to the COVID-19 pandemic, next steps in the process, and then in the end we will be opening the phone line for public comment. So let me begin with a review of our Citizen Participation Plan. This document has been established in order for the City of Erie to be in conformance with the requirements of the regulations. The plan sets forth the city's policies and procedures by which it encourages residents to participate and comment on various federally funded city programs and affirmative fair housing planning. The programs include the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, the Home Investment Partnership Program, HOME, and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, ESG. The City of Erie is amending its existing Citizen Participation Plan under the Emergency Activities Clause. Due to emergency activities of a recent origin, the policy going forward for the City of Erie is to grant a temporary waiver for the 30-day citizen review and comment period. The City of Erie will advertise the project in the Erie Times News for citizen comments concurrent with the start of the project. In the event of a local, state, or federally declared disaster or emergency where public places may be closed to the public or in-person participation may not be feasible, the city may opt to conduct public hearings and meetings virtually via conference call or live web streaming. Accommodations will be made for persons with disabilities upon request, such as sign language or translation services and PA relay system availability. Documents for public review will be shared via the city's website. Copies of the document can be emailed upon request. The City of Erie is a federal entitlement community under the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's Community Development Block Grant Program, Home Investment Program, and Emergency Solutions Grant Program. As a HUD entitlement community, the city is required to prepare a 5-year consolidated plan in order to implement any federal programs that fund housing, community development, and economic development within the community. The consolidated plan covers the period from fiscal year 2020 through fiscal year 2024, and the consolidated plan will be submitted to HUD for approval. The City of Erie, through the consolidated plan, developed a single consolidated planning and application document in consultation with public and private agencies. The consolidated plan for the city will serve the following functions: a planning document that enables the city to view its HUD funding not in isolation, but as one tool in a comprehensive strategy to address housing, community development, and economic development needs. It will serve as an application for CDBG funds, home funds, and ESG funds under HUD's formula grant. It will serve as a strategic document to be followed in and carried out by HUD programs, and additionally an action plan that provides a basis for assessing performance in the investment of CDBG, home, and ESG funds. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our Grant Administrator, Dave Dieter, to review the 5-year planning process to date. Dave?
Thank you, Chris. Overview of the 5-year planning process to date. Beginning December 1st, 2019, the city began solicitation of proposals for funding for the fiscal year 2020 program year. Those applications were accepted until January 31st of 2020. The City of Erie held 2 preliminary community development and housing needs public meetings to obtain input from citizens. Those meetings were held on January 28th, 2020 at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. in City Council chambers in City Hall. Public notice for the meetings was published in the Erie Times News in order to inform as many persons as possible regarding the city's intent to develop the consolidated plan. To solicit input on the City of Erie's housing and community development needs and to help establish budget and program priorities for the next 5 years, the city held 5 stakeholder workshops from January 27th through the 29th for a variety of housing, development, and service providers. The topics of the workshops were housing affordability and equity, community and economic development, neighborhood health and safety, health, human services, homeless services, and accessible housing. In addition, a community needs survey was made available online from December 2nd, 2019 through February 28th, 2020. From February 3rd through the 13th of this year, our staff reviewed the applications that were submitted for funding, and on February 14th and 21st, the applicants made presentations for their proposed CDBG projects. I will move on now to the overview of the 5-year strategic plan. The following priorities and subsequent goals have been identified for the period of fiscal year 2020 through fiscal year 2024 for CDBG home and ESG programs. The first priority need is to increase access to and the quality of affordable housing. The associated goals are to provide homeowner rehabilitation assistance, provide rental rehabilitation assistance, create new affordable rental housing, and increase home ownership. The second priority need is to provide homeless housing and services. The third priority need is to provide special needs housing and services. The associated goals are to provide homeowner rehabilitation assistance and to provide rental rehabilitation assistance. The fourth priority need is to improve public facilities and infrastructure. The fifth priority need, provide public services. The sixth priority need is to eliminate slum and blighting influences, and the associated goals are code enforcement and demolition of dilapidated structures. The seventh priority need is economic development, which includes revitalization of the central business district. The eighth priority need is fair housing, education, and services. The ninth priority need is provide facilities and services in support of the pandemic response and recovery efforts. And the 10th priority need is planning and administration. I will now move on to the overview of the annual action plan for 2020. The 2020 CDBG Community Development Block Grant Program allocation is $3,172,492. The Home Investment Partnership Program, or HOME program, is $831,284. And the Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG, is $270,136. Brief summary of the proposed funding levels for Community Development Block Grant Program is as follows. Acquisition, $50,000. Public facilities improvements, a total of $200,000. Demolition, $200,000. Public services, a total of $778,251. Housing rehabilitation and other rehabilitation activities, $294,500. Code enforcement, $270,722. Special economic development activities, $365,000. Rehabilitation for commercial and industrial buildings, $75,000. Miscellaneous housing services, $20,000. And general administration, $634,498. Again, the total amount for community development block grant program allocation, $3,172,492. Moving on to the Home Investment Partnership Program. We have allocated the following amounts. Hands for Midtown Revitalization, $178,235. City Homebuyer Assistance, $250,000. City Homebuyer Rehab, $159,921. City Housing Rehabilitation, $160,000, and Administration, $83,128. Again, that total is $831,284. The summary for the Emergency Solutions Grant for fiscal year 2020 is as follows. Mercy Center for Women, $14,944. The Refuge, $20,908. City Mission, $35,107. Community Shelter Services, $32,108. Community of Caring, $16,436. St. Patrick's Haven, $15,690. SafeNet TLC, $4,473. SafeNet Bridge House, $8,218, and SafeNet $14,198. GCAC is awarded $87,794, and city administration for this program $20,260. With that, I will pass it back over to Chris, who will address the COVID-19 CDBG allocations.
Thank you, Dave. The City of Erie does anticipate receiving supplemental funding through CDBG and ESG as part of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or the CARES Act. The $2.2 trillion CARES Act includes roughly $5 billion in additional supplemental block grant funding. The City of Erie anticipates receiving $1,866,324 in additional supplemental community development block grant funding. Funding in that category will be in four main areas: supporting public facilities, buildings, and improvements that help to support healthcare and testing facilities, expansion of hospital capacity to accommodate isolation of patients during recovery, interim improvements to properties to enable individual patients to remain quarantined, and the rehabilitation of properties or closed buildings to establish infectious disease treatment clinics, and etc. Second category for that funding is assistance to businesses, including special economic development assistance. This can include providing grants and loans to support new businesses and business expansion to create jobs and help with the manufacturing of medical supplies necessary to respond to infectious disease. It also includes assistance, working capital assistance to small businesses to help eliminate eliminate, to help job retention of low to moderate income persons. It also provides grant and loan assistance to establish, stabilize, and expand micro enterprises that provide medical, food delivery, cleaning, and other services to help support home health and quarantine activities. Third category is public services category. Within this category, that can include delivery of meals to individuals quarantined, providing necessary equipment and supplies, testing supplies, personal protective equipment, and etc. Fourth category being planning and capacity building to identify actions that would help implement all of the other activities. The city also anticipates receiving $931,503 in emergency solution grant funding, supplemental funding, which also can be used for helping with shelter activities related to infectious disease. At this point, we are waiting upon further guidance from HUD, and we'll be submitting a budget soon for that funding. At this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Dave to go over next steps in the process.
Thank you, Chris. In addition to this evening's public hearing, where we will solicit comment on the proposed 5-year consolidated plan and the annual action plan, the end of the public display period is April 28th, 2020. The adoption of the 5-year plan and annual action plan by City Council, we anticipate securing that on or about May 6th of 2020. And then on or about May 15th, 2020, we intend to submit the consolidated plan and annual action plan to HUD for their required review period. And then we anticipate the start of the city's 2020 annual plan program year to begin July 1, 2020. We'll throw it back over to Chris, who will cover the public comment section of our meeting tonight.
Thank you, Dave. At this time, we do want to provide an opportunity for public comment. If we have anybody on the phone line that would like to make a comment, now is the time to do so. We just ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. So if there is anyone there who would like to comment, now is the time. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment at this time? Not hearing any requests for comment, that draws this meeting to a conclusion. Thank you very much.